All right, so The Last of Us episode 2 just aired and I just got done watching it. So just to be upfront, this is a full spoiler review. We're going to go over the episode in its totality, kind of break it down a little bit, and I'm going to give you my overall thoughts on what I thought about the episode as a whole. And just up front here, I adored the first episode so much if you just didn't watch my previous review, but I adored the episode a lot. I gave it really high praise by saying it's one of my favorite starts to a show ever. I mean, I've seen a lot of TV shows, and honestly, I went through it over the past week, and I really can't think of a show that started off better than this one. There's obviously probably one out there I'm forgetting, but this one started off so strongly. Not only did this capture all the things visually that I wanted to see from the game, they just captured everything from like all the characters to all the emotional stuff to the heartbreak already. They're already doing a great job in all those elements. We left off episode 1 with Joel, Tess, and Ellie embarking on this journey across the city to meet up with a rendezvous set up by Marlene. And in episode 2, we start off by going back to September 2003, where we follow a doctor in Indonesia as she's unknowingly being taken by police to investigate this odd phenomenon that has been happening. She's asked to look at test samples and also examine this body of this infected person. After being completely terrified by what she discovers while examining this body, she tells police that there's absolutely no vaccine, no cure, or any way to prevent this from spreading outside of just bombing the whole city and just killing everybody. I'm really enjoying these introductions to these episodes because they did the same exact thing with the first episode where they talked about, it was like a news interview from like the 60s or whatever. That was really cool. And then now they're doing this from giving us a different perspective from across the world in Indonesia, talking about this fungus and this infection and whatnot. So I thought that was really cool because it also gives us a dark look at what lengths humanity will go to stop the spread of infections and diseases and whatnot, because that's pretty dark, right? I mean, she said there's literally absolutely no vaccines, no cures. You just need to bomb this place because that's the only way to keep it from spreading. And that's just super dark. You can see it on the guy's face when she actually says that. He just looks horrified at that prospect of having to do that. After the intro, we pick up with Joel, Tess, and Ellie. Joel and Tess are having differing opinions on how they want to deal with Ellie after learning she was bitten and survived, quote unquote. Joel is not convinced that she won't turn in the future. I mean, it may just be taking her a little while to turn his mindset around it, and he wants to kill her. But then Tess, on the other hand, is like, this is weird. Maybe we should take her to where we need to go so we can figure out more about what's happening. They decide to question Ellie a bit more and figure out why they need to take her to this specific group and what really is going on here. And Ellie reveals to them that they've been developing a cure and that the group feels like that she is the key to helping them actually find one because she has survived the bite. A lot of the rest of the episode is centered around showing us the city from Ellie's perspective because this is her first time actually seeing the city for herself. We learn how she actually got bitten, which she was actually in a mall where she shouldn't have been, and then she ended up running into one of the infected and got bit. And then we also get to see just how broken down and overgrown the city is. It's really, really cool. And then we also get to see and hear the different dangers that lurk in the city as well. One of the most aesthetically pleasing moments in the episode take place in this really overgrown and flooded motel. This setting is honestly amazing. They did such a great job giving you this sense of unease as they're traveling through this murky water. Not only do we get this cool setting, we actually get this moment between Joel and Ellie where we finally get to see their relationship start to come to life a little bit. They have such differing guarded personalities, but you can tell that they're just starting to kind of yin and yang with each other, and it's kind of cool to see their relationship just start to develop just even the smallest amount. We also eventually get this overshot view of the infected from a rooftop, which is honestly pretty chilling to watch them move around just the way they do. It's just really creepy to see. They end up heading into this building, and this is where we get our first introduction to one of the most menacing infected in the Last of Us universe, and that is the clickers. And my goodness, they really capture the fear you feel when you actually see these enemies for the first time in the video game. They are honestly disgusting to look at, and they're just terrifying. They're sprinting at you, they're making all these sounds. It's just really creepy in my opinion. I also like just how tense this scene was because prior to them actually seeing the clickers, there's just so much unease as they're walking through this building. There's just a ton of darkness, and I felt really uncomfortable during certain moments of this as they were going room to room. We finished up episode 2 with them finally making it to the rendezvous, and they quickly realize that everybody in the group is dead. We also unfortunately learned that Tess was bitten during one of the encounters with the infected earlier, and she begs Joel to take Ellie to see these two guys, Bill and Frank, but Joel doesn't really love this idea. Eventually though, he does decide to take Ellie to see these two people, and he leaves Tess behind to sacrifice herself to hold off a swarm of infected who have learned of their location. We leave this episode off with Joel and Ellie continuing their adventure on their own. Alright, so here are my thoughts on the episode overall. It's definitely a much slower paced episode than the first one. However, I will say that I did like it. in a lot of ways, because we got to get some character development between Joel and Ellie, and we specifically got a lot of character development for Ellie. Even though we had a lot of infected in this episode, as well as we got to see the clickers for the first time, they really didn't add much to increase the pace of the episode. But like, again, I think that like the first episode, I thought they absolutely nailed it with this episode. They continue to do an incredible job of bringing the game to life. Like, there's so many things that are shot for shot the same as the video game. People, like, they're walking down certain areas, they're looking at certain areas. It's amazing how well they're doing and setting this up as if they're bringing the video game to real life. I'm just consistently floored at how beautiful this show is. I mean, from the flooded hotel, just something as simple as that was really aesthetically pleasing, from them looking at the city just from this overall perspective, to seeing them just walking down the road and seeing the overgrown atmosphere and whatnot. It's just absolutely beautiful in my opinion. Again, I really liked how they focus a lot on Ellie in this episode, because next to Joel, she's probably the most important, if not the most important character in this whole thing. So we're gonna I wanted to see how she could actually hold up, and if she would bring that same spirit in a more focused role like how she was in the video game, and she nailed it. I think that the actress who's playing Ellie in this show is absolutely killing it. She's doing a great job of bringing that personality that we needed from the Ellie character, so kudos to her. She's actually doing an amazing job. My one question from this episode is that I did not actually beat the first game, so I'm kind of starting to get some unknown territory with some of these things. But I don't remember Tess being bitten so early, if at all. I just don't remember it very well. And I definitely don't feel like she died so early. So that was a little bit of a shock to me to see her die so quickly. But again, like I said, it's been a minute since I played the games. I only played like the first 3 hours or so, maybe 2 or 3 hours, and I don't remember everything that happened, but I don't remember Tess dying so early, so that's my big thing. Anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on my overall perspective and breakdown of The Last of Us Episode 2. What did you guys think down in the comments below? Are you liking this show so far? Do you feel like the second episode held up its end of the bargain with being just as good as the first episode? Let me know down in the comments below. But all right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.